What's up guys, Enkiri here, and welcome to vlog number 96. I've got a solid upper body session here for you guys today where I made a few small tweaks to the old routine. So in this session, I've got the 5x5 Larsen press, but I moved it up to the primary spot here now. And I was pairing it up with some straight arm pull downs, and then I finished up the day with a few sets of overhead presses where I'm just sitting on a bench with no back support. So there's a heck of a lot of core activation going on there. But anyway, let's kick it off with the Larsen press and the pull downs. Now, previously, this was where I had been doing my heavy push press work. So I was working up to a heavy triple on the push press first thing in the session, and then I was moving on to the 5x5 on the Larsen press. But after I hit the big PR triple with 245 on the push press, I decided to pull it from the rotation and move the Larsen press up a slot to fill its place. And that was a couple months ago now, and since then I've been able to put in some higher quality work on the Larsen pressing here because I'm not fatigued by the time I get to it like I was before. Now, in spite of that, I haven't sped up the progression or anything like that because I'm enjoying these slow and steady and predictable gains. And I'm also not really in any rush to push things beyond what I feel that I'm ready for. So, like I've mentioned several times now, I'm keeping the weight constant here for 3 sessions in a row, and then I'm going up just 2.5 pounds at a time every 4th session. In my current training now, I'm using 210 pounds for the 5x5 here, so 10 pounds more than I'm using here, which doesn't sound like too big of a difference. But when you consider the fact that I'm only making 2.5 pound jumps and I'm keeping the weight constant for 3 weeks at a time, you realize that those 10 pounds actually represent several months of training. The difference is, I don't think I would have been able to keep hitting these 5x5s with no leg drive here, even with that slow rate of progression, if I hadn't finally moved the Larsen press up from the secondary spot and into the primary spot. The quality of work just takes a hit, and that makes a big difference in terms of what you're able to recover from and adapt to once you start working with weights that are a bit more challenging for you. Plus, I think that the push press had pretty much run its course in terms of the strength gains that I had made there anyway, so I felt that it was time to change things up, and this was the right move. It spurred some additional progress in my upper body strength, and it's helped me to regain a lot of ground that I had lost in the last couple years when I first had that shoulder tweak, and then I just kind of stopped benching altogether for a little while there. And then after that, I had some major bar path issues for a little while on the bench press as well, and that finally seems to have been fixed, mostly just by focusing on putting in a boatload of high quality, sub-maximal reps on the Larsen press, and just forgetting the idea of leg drive and everything like that for a little while there. And I know everybody loves to make fun of my chest, but they're just looking at a tiny little snippet of my entire training career when they do that. Yeah, my chest got pretty small last year because I was weighing 155 pounds or even less and sitting at like 8% body fat, and I hadn't done much bench pressing in recent history. But what about 2015 and 2016 when I was benching 315 pounds? Nobody talks about that. And what about now where I can dip 350 pounds and Larsen press 250 or more pounds and my body weight's back up over 160 pounds now? My chest is substantially larger now than it was even just a few months ago. And actually, I would venture to say that this is the leanest I've ever been while weighing between 160 and 165 pounds body weight, which means this is actually the most lean mass that I've ever carried on my frame before, and I'm fairly certain that most of the recent gains in body weight that I've experienced have come from adding muscle back onto my upper body. Anyway though, enough rambling. Let me just touch on the pull downs real quick though. Ironically enough, at this point, I actually learned about this exercise from a physical therapist of all things, you know, those non-strength coaching motherfuckers. And this was the first time I re-implemented it into my program in several years. So I was a little awkward with it, and you'll notice I get a little bit cheaty as it gets heavy, but that's not really a big deal for my purposes. Now, it is a great lat exercise, and it kind of hits them with a different sort of feel than the traditional pull downs do. But what really sets this exercise apart, and the real reason why I include it in my training, is because of the impact it has on the abdominals. In my opinion, it should be viewed more as a core exercise than a lat exercise, and all you have to do is knock out a few reps with it to understand why I'm saying that. But suffice it to say, it blasts the fuck out of the abs in a good way, so I enjoy it specifically for that. Anyway, after that pairing, I moved on to the seated overhead press. And the funny thing is, this was the very first time I had ever done any form of seated overhead pressing in my life. For all the gyms I've gone to over the years, I've never used the seated overhead press benches. So I've never done a supported seated press in my life. But I have to say that this unsupported version is no picnic. It's really damn tough to stay stable here, and it really has an impact on how much weight you can use. Not so much so that the exercise loses value, but rather just enough to make the trade-off worthwhile, at least in my case. I had fun with it though, and I was able to work up to 150 pounds for a decent set of 5 in my very first session here, which I don't think is too shabby. My plan with this exercise is just to use it as a bridge for a little while to give myself a break from the normal standing presses that I was doing for months, but without removing overhead pressing from my routine altogether. And then after a little while, I'll transition back into the strict standing press and start off by working some volume there for a few weeks. Anyway though, this was good stuff. Another solid session in the books. Progress is coming along slowly but surely, as it always is, on all my upper body work and all my lower body work. I actually just hit a 420-pound high bar squat triple the other day, and I think I'd be good for a single in the high 4s at the moment, high bar, with almost no practice on the exercise. Which is about right, because historically, anytime I could front squat 400 pounds, I could back squat 500 pounds with just a little bit of practice at it. And one last thing, based on the feedback I got on my last vlog, I've also begun work on a series of training templates that I hope to have ready to go in the next few weeks, at least the first 2 or 3 of them. Now, these won't be customized programs like the training programs I sell now, but my plan is to make them as fully encompassing as possible. So essentially, if you were a beginner and you purchased the beginner template, with the vision I have now, you would be able to run that template all the way through your entire novice phase and max out your beginner gains with it. You wouldn't need any other programs. You just have to adjust the exercises, which I'll provide suggestions there, and then adjust the percentages and the numbers each time you work through the template, and then you'd be all set. I'm also planning to make an intermediate template, as well as a general strength and power template, and a vertical jump template, and maybe one that incorporates a focus on conditioning work as well. But here I'm talking about the conditioning work that you guys see me doing, not any of that candy ass shit. But anyway, that's all I got for now, guys. Please be sure to like the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and definitely leave me some love in the comments down below. Also, if you're interested in online coaching, be sure to shoot me an email at enkiri.elite@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to pass some more information your way. Keep training hard, and I will catch you guys next time.